Hi, my name is Danny Dickinson. I'm the director and founder of Lolek Storytellers.
Hi, my name is Sophia Ann Dickinson, and I'm Lolex Storytellers music director.
My name is Erica Fasselt, and I have been involved with Lolex for 13 years in the capacity of assistant director for many of those years and choreographer as well.
When I started Lolek Storytellers was right before I started ninth grade. We decided to do production, and it kind of just kept happening every year. We all enjoyed it. We decided to keep doing it. So that's how I started, was just by deciding I wanted to direct something.
I think that Lolex puts a huge emphasis on family, and this is one of the things that I really, really love about it. Like, so many families are involved of all age ranges, everyone from the oldest adult down to our little 4-year-old Chip.
When we started, our 6th child was only 1, and so most of them were pretty young when we got involved. For the younger ones, I mean, they've grown up in the theater, around the community, around the people. It's shaped a lot of who they've become in that they've grown in confidence.
Lolex has impacted my daughter the most. She has formed very beautiful relationships and friendships that feel more like family to her, and she always describes Lolex as her theater family.
I've been with Lolex since about 2015 when I was 9 years old, and what keeps me coming back is definitely that Lolex Storytellers is not just a theater company, but a community, and it's become my family. I've had the joy of growing up with them.
Lolex has impacted other areas of my life in that it gave me a better appreciation for how music and art in general comes about in all its forms.
So Lolek was the childhood nickname of Pope John Paul II. He was actually an actor before he became a priest. He founded an underground theater company under the communist regime in Poland at the time. We started out at a local church performing there, and after the first year we decided to keep doing this thing, decided to give it a name, and we came up with Lolek Storytellers.
I think one thing that's really unique about Lolex is that we're a Christian theater company. We've on purpose created what I think is a different space for theater.
I was very hesitant to let her be a part of a community theater, mainly because she would be involved around older teens and adults. So I looked at the website, and right away you could see that it was very much a family-friendly, Christian-based, very high moral and family values.
What that means is not that you have to be a Christian to be a part of our company, but that you have to recognize that we have standards.
We pray before every rehearsal, and everyone is so positive and supportive of each other, and we're just like one big family. Everybody just has so much love for each other.
What really sealed the deal for me was the fact that, this is also a Christian organization inspired by Pope John Paul II, and I just came to the conclusion that this group in particular fits very well for me.
For the most part, the drama in our theater company is the drama we're aiming to put on stage.
Lolex focuses a lot on the realism of their acting.
One thing I really harp on being on stage is that you have to be bigger physically, but you have to do it creatively. Some people think that just means throwing their arms out and running and being as big as possible, but I think there's a much bigger level of creativity needed as a stage actor, because you have to get that emotion across, and you can't just use your emotions in your face. You have to find a way to physically get that emotion across to your audience that are much further from you than a camera would be.
Even music directing, knowing that there's so much more than just music, there's a lot of vocal performance, and the acting there also does apply.
I also like to have actors turn out a lot, and I tell them to include the audience. So if they're facing someone, I ask them to throw looks to the opposite side of the theater in the back. That includes your entire audience and what's going on, so they don't feel like they're shut out of the conversation.
I'd say my favorite roles would have to be either Spot Colin with Newsies, or just a newsie in general, Princess Winifred in Once Upon a Mattress. But honestly, some of my favorite roles are probably the ensemble roles. I really love working together with the rest of the ensemble and creating that background for the rest of the actors to make the story come to life.
Oh, so playing Amy Rose, an original character, that was definitely a challenge for me because Amy Rose, she is always chasing after boys, and that is the complete opposite of me.
My first role was in Peter Pan as a pirate who dove overboard.
I played Rocket in Vladimir's Diner, an original musical. So one of the fun but challenging things about an original musical is that there was no references, there was no looking at how other people did it and maybe like putting my own spin on it. Everything was words on a page until I worked with Danny and with the other actors to really bring the characters to life.
All 9 of us, my husband included, have been on stage with Lolex at some time over our history of being involved. I got to, on 2 occasions, perform the original role of Mama in Kansas, and I got to perform at the end of Peter Pan as grown-up Wendy, and I got to jump on stage for 1 minute and 7 seconds to replace a cast member that took ill on the night of a performance for part of a dance number at the last minute, and that was pretty funny. That was a good time.
I have been on stage 3 different times with Lolex Storytellers. The bookseller in the original Beauty and the Beast. Next show I did was Newsies, and I got to be President Roosevelt, and that was a lot of fun. And then my final role was as Fabiano, the Italian chef, and that was fabulous. That I actually had to sing a song and dance, which everybody thought was the funniest thing they had ever seen.
One of my favorite moments on stage was playing Cartman the Wizard. I was playing the scene with the minstrel, and I had to laugh on stage for like 30 to 45 seconds, which it doesn't sound that long, but it is.
I think for me, Peter Pan will always be very, very special because I got to be the role of Peter. That was probably one of my favorite things to do.
Every show is so unique. I'm always being pushed to learn new things, to improve new talents, like learning to tap dance for Newsies, learning how to do things like partner with other actors, or even learning to roller skate on stage.
Each show is different because each show, especially musical, has a different genre of music, a different sound, so therefore it calls the actors to sing in this different sound. For example, with our original show, Vladimir's Diner, I kept telling my ensemble, I want you to sing like your soloists. I want you to stand out in your harmonies. But for something like Beauty and the Beast, for example, it's a lot more of a blended and choral sound.
We have this great team that really makes these shows happen. We don't have outside funding, so really none of these positions are paid. So I'm very grateful to like our core team that comes back for every show to make these happen, because it absolutely can't happen without them.
The thing about Lolex Storytellers is that they are able to take everyone's talents and multiply them.
I have a lot of construction and building skills, as well as I have a lot of audio skills. I used to be a DJ when I was younger, so I used to do some sound.
Because of Newsies, I started tap dancing, and I love it so much. And without Lolex, I would have never found my love for dance.
We've had so many kids come through that maybe weren't dancers, and then they come on stage and it's just like, bam, oh my gosh, yes, you are just so beautiful. Can you do this? Can you do that? And to see how they've like accepted those challenges and have grown into just beautiful dancers.
You just don't know how it's going to come off, but then when it does, I am blown away. I really feel that I'm watching a professional production and not just an amateur production. It's just top-notch.
We were prepping for our biggest show that we had ever produced. We were very excited and geared up to do Newsies for the first time in 2020. We had our big theater booked again. We had a lot of people very interested in auditioning for the show. And right before auditions, things started shutting down. The theater ended up closing, everything ended up closing down. So coming back from that was very difficult, especially theater, you know, that being such a live experience, you have to be there in person. We didn't really get started again until the following year in 2021. We were actually the first company to perform live again in the Canton Theater. And we kind of had to regain our footing. We had kind of, lost interest, lost actors, lost patrons at that point. And we had to really come back hard to get those followers back again.
There are 3 reasons I recommend anybody get into Lolex. 1, an ample opportunity to exercise your acting and singing abilities, especially in front of other people. 2, a community of theater nerds that love and care for each other. And 3, a talented director who has a vision but gives her actors, the free rein to give their own unique spin on their characters.
Someone once looked at my Instagram and was like, how do you know all these random people that I know? Like, where are you meeting them all? And the answer's always, well, theater. Lolex Storytellers. You should check them out.
Boy, getting involved with Lolex, it's pretty easy. Head to the website, lolexstorytellers.com. Spell it right, L-O-L-E-K-S, storytellers.com. Obviously, getting involved in shows, whether being on stage or being part of the crew or the technical aspect, those are the most obvious opportunities. But, if you are one who likes the arts and who loves to support the arts and enjoys coming to our performances, obviously, Any kind of financial support is always, always helpful. A lot of people don't realize of the costs that go into the shows. There is the cost of royalties and renting the space and, purchasing high quality equipment to be able to put on high quality productions. So certainly financial support is always needed.
I think the first thing that we really need to focus on is finding a location where we can kind of have our home base, somewhere where we can store a lot of our props, costumes, and sets, but also where we can rehearse. But ultimately, long term, we'd like to have some classes that we offer, singing, dancing, acting classes, and having a space to make that happen is going to be really important. Long term, having a theater that we own, I think that's going to be important because renting out theater spaces is very expensive. And it's hard to get ahead when already theater doesn't have much money in it. We don't really have outside funding, and that's something, long term we'd love to have some more outside funding. But finding a space that can really be home base for us is kind of the next step in what we're hoping to do.
Because we want this to be edifying. We want this to be something that builds up our community and be something that's positive for our community members. We're bringing something good and joyful to the community. So we would always love anyone who's willing to keep us in prayer.